end, on our first row, is the holiday wreath in memory of those who have served or are serving in the United States Air Force. As is tradition, this wreath honors the memory of First Lieutenant Michael Blassie, a graduate of St. Louis University High School and a 1970 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy. Lieutenant Blassie was shot down over An Loc, Vietnam on May 11, 1972. From 1984 to 1998, his remains were buried at Arlington National Cemetery's Tomb of the Unknowns as an unidentified soldier from the Vietnam War. In 1998, his remains were identified, and he was reinterred here at Jefferson Barracks. The three wreaths in the back row, starting at this end. This holiday wreath is in memory of those who served or are serving in the United States Coast Guard. This wreath honors the memory of Billy Rice, former command pilot and Flotilla 7 commander of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Billy Rice also enlisted in the United States Air Force during the Korean War and served as a member of the Civil Air Patrol for many years. The wreath will be laid at his gravesite after the ceremony. Next is a holiday wreath in memory of those who have served or are serving in the United States Merchant Marine. The last wreath is in honor of the 93,852 United States servicemen from all branches of the services whose last known status was either prisoner of war or missing in action. These individuals have never returned to their families and homes. We shall not forget you. The Merchant Marine and POW MIA wreaths will be presented after the ceremony to members of the Patriot Guard Rifle. The wreaths before you represent our commitment as a united America to remember the fallen. We also want these holiday wreaths to symbolize our honor to those who have served or are serving in the armed forces of our great nation, and to their families who endure sacrifices every day on our behalf. To our children, and it's good to see so many children here today, and inside where it's warm rather than outside where it's really cold. To our children, we want you to understand the freedoms you enjoy today have not been free and have come with a price that you yourselves may have to pay in the future. As a nation standing together, we can defeat terrorism, hatred, injustice. Thanks to our veterans, we have the freedom to do just that. I could quote for you the statistics of the individuals buried here and around the country at the different veteran cemeteries, but all you would have is a bunch of numbers. Instead, I would ask you to take a moment and find a name on one of the grave sites and research that person on the internet when you get back home. Find out all you can about them. You will find they were real Americans with families. Mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles. They were and are more than just a statistic. As we conclude today's ceremony, we will be playing taps. However, we are hoping for the flyover from the B-2 bomber. I'm going to ask Lieutenant Colonel Randy Fuller what our status is on that. We will hear a loud thunder as it goes over. But I want to thank the pilots of the 509th Bomb Wing for the opportunity to have the B-2 bomber this year. We will certainly strive to have it again next year. This way I don't have to explain to the local community what all happened, so that's probably good. At this point, I would ask the bugler to play tap. Please rise. appreciate your assistance today in placing wreaths on the grave sites nearby here at Jefferson Barracks. When we have this outdoors, the old flag circle, we place them around the grave sites at that facility. Here at the chapel, I would ask that we proceed to the grave sites just south of this chapel in that facility and place the wreaths there. Please, out of respect, do not walk on the graves. Please approach from the side or from behind and place the wreath on the ground leaning against the gravesite marker. This year, there are only a few wreaths in contrast to years past. Not entirely sure why that is. I hope to think there isn't a small cemetery somewhere in Upper Michigan that's now suddenly got 1,000 wreaths to worry about. I know there was a push to place wreaths on section 60 at Arlington National Cemetery, where the newly fallen from our Iraq and Afghanistan endeavors have been laid to rest. Perhaps that's the reason. I would like to think so. Well, we have just a few wreaths today to place. I don't think that's a 747. I think that's our B-2 bomber. We'll have a moment to sound free. I guess we'll get some phone calls after. Please, if you would, just pick up one wreath to place at a gravesite. If you're here with a group or with a family, I might ask that you also just place one wreath. Even though we have only 160 or so wreaths, that's still 160 veterans we can honor today. At this point, typically we have some of the folks representing other organizations come up and maybe say a few words. Bill, we might start with you, if you would, sir.
Thank you, Major Miller. Before I say a few words, I'd like to invite all of you to, when you finish here, to go to the riverside portion of the cemetery. You will see some 3,200 graves that are marked with a Christmas decoration. Every one of those graves is of an unknown, most of which are from the Civil War. And they were marked last Saturday, and those markings will be taken up in January. But if you haven't seen, it gives you even a greater appreciation for all those unknowns that are here. The National Society, Sons of the American Revolution, is honored in sharing this day with our partners in patriotism of all our military services across the nation. Today, we honor and remember all American patriots who have served their country. Many sacrificed their bodies, minds, and even their lives to preserve democracy and freedom. In this hallowed place are patriots who have served from Lexington on April 19, 1775, to Pearl Harbor, to Iraq, Afghanistan, and everywhere in between, both in time and in place. The Wreaths Across America ceremony symbolizes the heroic deeds of those who serve or are serving. Similar ceremonies are now being conducted in almost 400 cemeteries across this great nation of ours. Regardless of our own heritage and ethnic origins, we who are gathered here are the beneficiaries of the colonial men and women who dared to declare themselves independent of their English ruler and the most powerful country in the world to establish the United States of America. It is fitting to remember a loved one, a buddy in arms, or perhaps an ancestor who made that sacrifice that brought honor and peace to our nation. God bless our troops and God bless America.
If there's a representative of the Gold Star Mothers, they might want to say a word.
We are an 82-year-old organization of mothers who have lost sons and daughters in the service to our nation. Unfortunately, our club is getting bigger, and by witness of just even the newer graves here. And I just want to thank everybody for coming out in the nasty weather. I mean, I thought about this morning, you know, this is what our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, serve in every day, you know, that we're in war. And I'm just really grateful to be here and thankful that you all are here to honor them. Thank you.
What a representative of the Patriot Guard. I want to say a few words.
Good morning, people. I'm Senior Rifle Captain, St. Louis area, Patriot Guard Riders. I want to thank all of you for being here today. It's a very honorable and respectful thing that you're doing. It's a great honor and privilege for us to be here today, as it is every time we ride through those gates. I know it's an especially hard time for the Gold Star families here today, and for those of you that have loved ones in tour here. I can't say enough about people showing up in this kind of weather to do what you're doing here today. Thank you.
Any other organizations that might be here that I'm not aware of? Yes, sir.
My name is Jack Rothie. I represent the SSM Department chapter of the Merchant Marine. I want to thank the Wreaths across America recognizing the Merchant Marine. We have the sad name of the forgotten service. Our flag is not here, but we are the oldest of the services. In the Revolution, the Merchant Marine took more casualties than the whole Continental Army. In World War II, the Merchant Marine took more casualties, proved men involved, than any other branch of service, 1 out of 26. Today, in the Merchant Marine, most Navy ships that are not ships of war, hospital ships, oilers, store ships, and so forth, are manned in the United States Merchant Marine. And I served in Vietnam. I kept the planes flying on a tanker. But we are very thankful to have served, and our motto was, give us the goods and we'll deliver.
Sir, if I may, I'd like to present the Merchant Marine wreath to you if you can place that here at the place you deem appropriate. Well, this concludes today's ceremony. Brief, but important. And I thank you all for coming out on such a wet day. At this point, we will be helping to distribute the wreaths outside of the chapel. Again, because of the limited number, please just choose one, and we're going to work on the section just south of this building. Thank you all for coming.